Hi guys. So Nigel Farage was interviewed by Sky News Australia about Donald Trump's chances of re-election. So let's hear what he had to say.
Nigel Farage, so great talking to you, and so great. Thank you so much for staying up so late in London to chat to us. Just very briefly, your great mate Donald Trump. What do you see happening between now and the election? What effect is all the anarchy having on Donald Trump?
Do you know, the last time I saw Donald was in early February, and I spoke with him for a bit. He was absolutely on buoyant form. And there were many predicting the election this November could become a landslide for him. And then, of course, he faces COVID-19, and then he faces the death and perhaps murder of George Floyd, and all the same problems that we're seeing here in London. The press pack in their entirety are against Donald Trump in the most extraordinary way. And Rowan, I've said it to you before, I'll say it again. You know, Donald Trump may not be perfect. Donald Trump may say things on tweets that sort of, even those of us that are great mates of his think, oh dear, you really perhaps shouldn't have done that. But that's Donald Trump. He's a real estate guy from Queens, New York, all right? He's not a politician. He's a bit rough and ready. But I'll tell you this, his gut instincts about the world as we face it, about the huge challenges from Marxism that we're seeing, about the threat that unless China is checked, it'll take over the world. In all of those things, Trump is in the right place. And my interpretation is, even though every media source will tell you, oh, it's an 80% chance now that Biden will win, never underestimate my friend Donald Trump. And you know something? The law and order ticket against the anarchy, the looting that is being seen on the streets of America, he'll win the election, mark my words.
Would you advise him to go in harder, Nigel Farage, than he's doing at the moment?
I think these things are always about timing, aren't they? And I think these Black Lives Matter Marxist protests will play themselves out. I suspect they've got further to run. At some point, he will go in very hard indeed. And you know what? If I was a shopkeeper in any city in America, if I was somebody, living, wanted to bring my family up to understand what the rule of law actually means and what democracy actually means up to mob rule, I would want him to do so. He is going to have middle America, the flyover states, on his side.
Nigel Farage, thanks so much for chatting to us.
So I just want to make a few comments about this. So first of all, it's interesting to see Nigel Farage, after LBC, his sacking or his resigning from LBC. Nigel wants to be out, giving his opinion. He still wants to have the attention that he had before Brexit, for example. But anyway, about this topic, the situation in the United States has changed dramatically since 2016. So in 2016, Donald Trump won. He actually, we have to remember, he lost the popular vote, but he did win in the important states, in the swing states. But he ran on this ticket of, I'm going to shake things up. I'm going to be a wrecking ball to the system. And now with COVID-19, with these protests that are taking place, the public want a different type of candidate. Donald Trump is losing support daily with older voters. Now remember, older voters are the ones who actually turn up and vote. It's one thing to lose support with younger voters, but the problem with younger voters is that they're unreliable. They don't actually turn up on election day. Older voters do. And Joe Biden is winning over the older voters, the ones who voted for Donald Trump back in 2016. So Donald Trump ran on this ticket of, I'm going to destroy the system, I'm going to shake things up, I'm going to be chaotic. But now, with COVID-19 and these protests, voters want someone stable. They don't want a wrecking ball. They want a steady hand. Now, I'm no fan of Joe Biden. I don't think he is actually a steady hand. But the perception amongst the public is that Joe Biden is a reliable person, is someone who can bring both sides together, someone who's not a wrecking ball, an old reliable in a sense. You know, he has going for him the connection with Obama, but Obama has enormously positive approval ratings at this moment. So all Joe Biden really needs is to have Barack Obama come and campaign for him. And the older voters who will see Joe Biden as someone who is calm, collective. And this, once again, I don't agree with this idea of Joe Biden, but it's the perception that the public have. It's what the voters believe is actually important. It's actually more important than what the candidate will actually do. Once again, I told you this in other videos. I said this is a vote not for Joe Biden. It's either a vote for Donald Trump or a vote against Donald Trump. And there is also evidence or polls to back this up. A lot of people have decided, look, I'm not a fan of Joe Biden, but Donald Trump is chaotic. Donald Trump is not someone I want to support. So I'm voting against Donald Trump. As I said this before, the vote is always for the incumbent or against the incumbent, irrespective of who is on the ticket on the other side. Anyway, that's all I had to say on this. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks. Why not become a Patreon and enjoy access to our Discord server where we share news, chat, and have some fun? If you become a patron, you can also make video suggestions on topics that are important to you. Check it out via the link in the description.